Good evening and welcome to my driveway. If I am shiny, I apologise. It's about 30 million degrees. I mean, it's not quite as warm as it was earlier when I attempted to do a film review. Genuinely nearly passed out because of how hot it was, and then my phone overheated and stopped the recording. So I'm back again. It is now evening time, and now I've got another film to talk about, so I've fallen behind a little bit again. So I'm going to try and play catch up. I'm confused about my positioning on the screen. Earlier on, I was talking about How to Train Your Dragon. So I'm actually going to do that one first, and then I will do a separate video of the film I've been to see tonight. I went to see the new live action remake of How to Train Your Dragon not quite 2 weeks ago. I took my children. My daughter was there with her mates, so I wasn't allowed to sit with her. And I had my son with me as well. It's remarkable I was allowed to sit with him because obviously he's 12 and I am deeply uncool, but here we are. And I thoroughly enjoyed it while also not really seeing the point of it. It's a tricky one. I'm not the biggest fan of Dreamworks animation. I think they've made some good stuff. I think they've made some ropey stuff. I think their desperate need to include a lot of pop culture references in some of their films made them age really quickly. And yes, I do mean Shrek. Much as I do love the original, maybe the first two, I don't really remember many of the sequels beyond that. I do think that they were so determined to be like edgy and pop culture-y that it just, when you look back on them, you're like, these references are really dated. And that's something that Disney perhaps didn't do in the same way. So if it's Dreamworks versus Disney, I'm always going to lean more towards being a Disney girl, although not a Disney adult, I hasten to add. So with the original How to Train Your Dragon films, the animated ones, I actually hadn't seen them up until, I was going to say a few years ago. I think it must have been about whenever the third one came out. I don't know. I know the original one was 2011, maybe no, 2010. I've looked it up today. I'm sure it was 2010. So they'd kind of passed me by. Just before the third one came out a few years ago, I decided to borrow them on DVD, going back a bit, borrow them from a friend, and me and the children watched the first two on DVD, and then we went to the cinema to see the third one, and they absolutely charmed me. They, I guess, avoided the Dreamworks thing of doing the pop culture references by being Viking times. I mean, there's a lot of inconsistencies with why some of the Vikings got Scottish accents and some of them have got English accents, and then others are American. But they're really, really good fun, and I did thoroughly enjoy them. So when I saw they were doing a live action version, I thought, okay, I'm interested. Quite recently, I talked about some of the Disney live action films. I talked about Lilo and Stitch, which I didn't enjoy. Some of the Disney live action remakes that I have enjoyed. So with How to Train Your Dragon, it is an enjoyable film. I think I have to say that because I was entertained throughout. Entertained, if a little fidgety, throughout. I think it looks great. I know they went to great pains to build as many real sets as possible and not just fall into the trap of doing everything digitally. Obviously, digital animation and digital sort of effects have come on so far that the temptation is just not to bother ever building anything because we can do it all with green screen. But I think having a real set, and in interviews I've seen with the cast and stuff, they've said like, we really appreciate like being on a set, being in the arena where the Vikings are being trained to kill dragons and so on. It adds like a real sort of authenticity to it and a realness, even though you're in a world that has dragons in it. So it looks great. I think it's well cast. Gerard Butler, who actually voiced Stoic the Vast, the Viking leader, the Viking chief in the original trilogy, actually plays the part on screen. He's got a great big beard and a great big costume, because actually, I mean, I know Gerard Butler's a big guy, but he's not quite as wide as Stoic the Vast. You've got Nick Frost playing Gobber, who is responsible for some of the, not the inventions, but the sort of creating of things and training the new recruits. Among them is Hiccup, who's the star, the lead, who is Stoic's son, who's always been a bit of a disappointment. He's played by a guy called, I want to say Mason Thomas, but I might have got his name wrong. Nick Frost is great as Gobba. He's obviously having a lot of fun. His old Spaced and Shaun of the Dead co-star Peter Serafinowicz is in it. So yeah, it's good. The young cast are also particularly good. I really like the actor playing Astrid. There was some controversy because Astrid in the film is blonde and this person isn't. I really don't think it matters, but apparently some people really got hung up on it. She's great. The actors playing the twins, Rough Nut and Tough Nut, were really good. So like I can't fault the casting, the set, it looks great. The creation of the dragons is superb, and I think where the film really comes alive is when you have the scenes that are between Hiccup and Toothless when they're first getting to know each other and bonding. As an animated creation in the original films, Toothless is so endearing and charming, and to see him realised as I don't know, he's a special effect, but to see a real human actor on screen with a real Toothless, I actually found really sweet. I think they've done a brilliant job of bringing that animated character to life and making you care about him. So there is a lot to like about it. I just kind of don't get why they bothered doing it, because the original 3 animated films are great and they do their thing, and it's like, well, other than money, why bother? But it is very entertaining. I saw it in a normal 2D screen, and I know it has been it is being screened in 4DX, so you can have the 3D glasses and the seat that. And I'd imagine during the flying sequences with Hiccup and Toothless, that must feel really exhilarating. Like overall, it's fine. And if my kids were smaller, or if I was a kid myself, I probably would love it. Definitely didn't pause the film to do a review to do a great big yawn there. Normally when I yawn I just do a face hugger, but I actually paused it. It's perfectly fine. Apparently they're making the other 2 as well, so will I see them? Probably. There's lots to like about it, and I think kids will like it. It was perfectly fine, and that was it. But that's okay. Sometimes perfectly fine is more than enough. So yeah, if you've got kids, if you're looking for something to entertain them, if you're a fan of the original films, I don't think you'll be put off by this updated live action version. It's it's perfectly suitable and entertaining. Perfectly suitable? I don't know what I mean, but yeah, it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Good. Glad we cleared that up. Thanks for watching. Katie out.